Okay, so we're gonna do things a tad bit differently on the channel for like 2 days, and that is really it. And here's the reason why, because the next two issues we have to cover is going to be Astonishing X-Men issue number 2 and X-Men issue number 2. Now, here's the thing, because in our last few videos, we have been covering at least 2 issues when it comes to our coverage over Age of Apocalypse to kind of help us move things along when it comes to our coverage over this event. But I kind of want to make sure that these 2 issues are separate from one another. And there is a very good reason why. And really, it's more because of the X-Men series that really does focus more on Nate Gray. You see, for the first 4 issues of the X-Men series, they were part of Age of Apocalypse. But then after X-Men Omega, you then had Nate Gray be teleported over into the main Marvel universe. And so with that happening, his series just continue on. And so just in case there's anybody out there who only cares for Nate Gray in this reality and wants to know more about him, I kind of want to make sure that his books are not being pulled into other videos that have other books about the Age of Apocalypse storyline. And so that's why I said the next few videos, or really next 2 and that's it, will only be a single issue video. So this one right here and the next one. Then after that, we should be back on track in covering at least 2 issues in each video. Now, getting into the opening pages for the Astonishing X-Men issue number 2, we have to remember that there are 2 different X-Men teams, the Astonishing X-Men and the Amazing X-Men. Now, for the Astonishing X-Men team, it's really more about Rogue, because remember, Rogue got word, really, the X-Men got word that you had Apocalypse decided to begin more culling events in different parts of North America. Now, here's the thing, because one of those locations is going to be Chicago. And the thing is, you still had humans in North America who believed by this point in the timeline that Apocalypse would stop trying to kill them off, because you did have Apocalypse sign the Kelly Pact, believing that humans and mutants should no longer be at war against one another in North America. The problem is that Apocalypse lied because, well, it's Apocalypse. And so right now for him, he's kind of like, yeah, I may have signed that pact, but the thing is, I still want to kill off some humans across North America. One of those locations is Chicago. And so for Rogue, she took a few members of the X-Men to hopefully stop Holocaust, the son of Apocalypse, from being able to kill off all the humans in Chicago. And so as we get into the opening pages of this issue, we're seeing people panic right now in Chicago. The reason why, because for Holocaust, what he did was he sent out a bunch of drones, and these drones just kind of putting people in panic mode. And with all these different people just panicking, they're trying their best to leave Chicago. But the problem is that they're pushing and shoving each other down. And so unfortunately, if somebody does get tripped over by somebody else, they can get easily stepped on and get seriously injured, are most likely killed off. And so right now is Rogue and her team saying, okay, listen, we got to try our best to calm everybody down. But then in the middle of that plan, you then have Sunfire get very upset. And here's the reason why. So there is this one shot that came out like 10 years after this event was wrapped up. And with that one shot, it kind of dived into the whole idea of what went down with Sunfire and also Apocalypse and Nemesis. Now remember, Nemesis is Holocaust. When he first appeared in the timeline of Age of Apocalypse, he was just your regular level mutant known as Nemesis who killed off Scarlet Witch. Now Magneto was able to get revenge against Nemesis, but then he was brought back into the world better known as Holocaust. Now, getting back over to Sunfire, there was a point in time where Sunfire had left Japan behind because you have Magneto as Sunfire and Silver Samurai to help the X-Men to fight against Apocalypse. Now, Silver Samurai said no, but Sunfire said yes. The problem was that Sunfire got word that Apocalypse and also Holocaust was attacking Japan. And so you had Sunfire go back to Japan without the X-Men to hopefully help out his people. Now, when he did arrive, he realized that Silver Samurai is trying his best to evacuate the entire country, or at least the area that he was in. Now for Sunfire, he tried his best to fight against Apocalypse and also Holocaust on his own. The problem was that he wasn't strong enough to take them both on, but he was strong enough to buy Silver Samurai enough time to evacuate the area. The problem was Sunfire was now captured as a prisoner and given over to the Horsemen of Death to be used as an experiment. Now Sunfire was saved later on by Magneto, but the thing was, he watched his country burn, but on top of that, he was tortured by Apocalypse and his Horsemen of Death for a good period of time. And so, getting back into the present day, it's Sunfire right now seeing all of these people running for their lives, trying their best to get somewhere safe. But it's also Sunfire saying, no, I want Holocaust now. Because seeing these people run for their lives, seeing this city burning right now, it's reminding him about what happened back in Japan many years ago. And so he's going crazy and attacking all the drones that Holocaust had released. Now for Rogue, she kind of realized that for Sunfire, he's right now making things a whole lot worse because in this reality, it's a full-on war between mutants and humans. And yes, the X-Men are trying their best to help out the humans, but for the humans right now, all they see is mutants just going crazy. And so for Rogue, she has to calm down Sunfire to help the idea of calming down the crowd of people. And so she has to use her powers. But when she does, she gets a look into his mind to see his past, to kind of realize what this man had officially gone through. But now we have to jump over to Bishop and also Magneto. Now, when we do, man, it's really more of Bishop kind of being upset with Magneto. And you think kind of like, yeah, he has a good reason why to be upset because it's Bishop saying, how can you just sit there where you have all these different X teams out there doing all these different things for you, possibly dying for your goal to bring back the old reality that's better than this reality. But you didn't have Magneto saying, do you see what I'm holding right now? My son. Charles, because remember, in this reality, Magneto and Rogue, they got together. They had a son together. But it's Magneto saying, even though I'm trying to help you out by bringing back your old reality that's better than this reality, everyone who's in this reality will at least go back to their old lives. But my boy here will not go back to his old life because in that old timeline, he didn't exist because Magneto and Rogue did not get together to have a son. They got together. It was a very short period of time, but that was really it. And so it's Magneto saying, even though I'm trying my best to bring in a better world, you have to realize that I have to cherish this moment because I'm going to lose him by the end of all of this. But now we have to jump over to Apocalypse. Now for Apocalypse, this man has been trying his best to locate the base of, well, the X-Men. Now here's the problem, because in the earlier parts of our coverage over this event, he kind of already mentioned the fact that he kind of knows who the base of the X-Men is truly at. But in this issue, he had a character known as Rex who was trying his best to locate the base of the X-Men. So kind of a little bit confusing there, but either way, you do have Rex being able to get an actual pinpoint location of where the base of the X-Men is at, and that'll be the old home of Charles Xavier. And so for Apocalypse, he said, you know what, it's time for me to go pay Magneto a nice little visit. But now we jump over to Sabretooth and also Blink. Now in this reality, for me personally, Sabretooth and Blink is kind of like Wolverine and Jubilee, or Wolverine and Kitty Pryde, where you had Wolverine being like that father figure in their lives. For Sabretooth, it's kind of like the same thing, because for Blink, She lost her family, but it was Sabretooth and also a few other people who had saved her. And so for Blink, it's kind of looking at him like as a father figure, but also her kind of thanking him for going out of his way to save her life, to give her a chance to fight for what is right. But also, this is Sabretooth saying, hey, Blink, I need you to use your ability to go ahead and teleport me over to where Holocaust is at. Because for Sabretooth, you realize that the X-Men need time. They need some time to be able to get everyone out of Chicago or somewhere safe, away from Holocaust and his culling event. But Blink knows that if Sabretooth tries to fight against Holocaust, then most likely he's going to lose. But for him, he's able to convince her that this is the right move to take here. And so you do have Blink decided to go ahead and use her ability to teleport him away. Now, there is a brief moment where you do have Rogue try her best to stop him from leaving, but you have Blink being able to stop Rogue for like a matter of a second to allow her enough time to teleport Sabretooth right over to where Holocaust is at. And so as soon as you have Sabretooth arrive at that location, we have to remember that there was a point in the timeline where Sabretooth was on the side of Apocalypse. Like, he was helping out Apocalypse go after humans and everything. But then you had Sabretooth kind of realize that one, Apocalypse did not really care for him, but two, because how ruthless Apocalypse was on a whole completely different level that Sabretooth was used to. But either way, you had Sabretooth join the side of Magneto to help fight against Apocalypse, but to also protect humans as well. But either way, for Sabretooth, he knows the story about Holocaust, how he was a different character known as Nemesis. And when it came to Magneto, he had, well, Magneto got his revenge by damaging the physical body of Nemesis. It was thanks to Dark Beast who put the energy of Nemesis into a support armor suit to keep him alive, and of course made him into, well, Holocaust. And so for Sabretooth, his main goal is to find a way to destroy the armor that Holocaust is currently using. Now, before you have the two characters battle against one another, you did have Holocaust tell Sabretooth about the processing plant. Now, the processing plant is really more where you had humans who had survived the attack of Holocaust be brought over to a plant to be processed and used as a way to create different types of creatures that could be used to help Apocalypse win his war against the mutant race. And so for all those different people who had survived the attack of Apocalypse, they're now being taken over to a plant to be processed and used for different types of experiments. Now, for Holocaust, he just told Sabretooth and also Wildchild. And so you have Wildchild being able to escape to warn the rest of the X-Men about what they had just learned, while you have our boy Sabretooth stay behind to fight against Holocaust. Now, the battle does last for a few pages, but getting into the end of the battle, you do have Sabretooth try to crack the armor suit of Holocaust, which he was able to do. The problem is that Sabretooth's healing factor was kind of put into overdrive. And honestly, it's not as strong as some other characters in this reality. So it got really put to work thanks to the battle against Holocaust. Now, for Sabretooth, he believed that with him cracking open the armor suit of Holocaust, that he had officially won. No. He actually lost. But the problem is he passed out before he realized that he had lost. And so the book does kind of end on the note where it's Sabretooth right now being a prisoner to Holocaust. And this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.